Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmad evam viditvainam nanusochitum arhasi. The soul, the attributes of the soul is further explained here. The soul is avyaktaha. Avyaktaha is unmanifested. Vyaktaha is manifested. Avyaktaha is unmanifested or invisible. It is not visible to our eyes, our material eyes. Avyaktaha. Avyaktahayam, the soul. And achintyayam, this is inconceivable. We cannot conceive the presence of the soul in the body with our material vision. And avikaryaha, unchangeable. Vikara means changeable. Avikara means unchangeable. And uchyate is said to be tasmadevam viditvainam nanusochitum arhasi. Tasmad, therefore, you know, knowing the soul like this, knowing the properties of the soul like this, na anusochitum arhasi. You don't deserve to lament like this. So again, Krishna is giving this argument to fight. So as we see from 12th verse onwards to now, many attributes of the soul are presented, and some may be repeated also. The soul is indestructible, imperishable, inexhaustible. But Prabhupada mentions that repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. So that's the reason. And also Krishna wants to drive home the point that Arjuna cannot kill or harm the person, the actual person inside the body. He's only going to harm the body. So here avyaktaha, inconceivable. Avyaktaha means not seen, invisible, and achintya means inconceivable. So we cannot prove by any material experiment the presence of the soul, because the soul does not exist on the material platform. So it was said that in the previous verses, one of the purports, that the size of the soul is 1/10,000th of the size of the tip of the hair. So it is so small. Balagra shatabhagasya shatadha kalpitasya cha. So it is so small. The point behind mentioning that is, it is so small that our material eyes or material instruments cannot get to it. That's the idea. It is just like people who understand 2 dimensions cannot perceive anything in the 3rd dimension. Like we exist in a 3-dimensional world. For example, just imagine some world where only 2 dimensions exist. That means you take a paper and you draw x-axis and y-axis, and you can draw some points, lines, curves only on the paper. So this world exists where, just imagine a world where only they understand 2 dimensions. They cannot understand anything 3rd dimension. So if you were to go to them and tell them there is something called a ball or a sphere, and it is like this, and therefore they cannot understand anything because they are in the 2 dimensions. What do you mean by sphere? We only understand points, circles, lines, squares, curves, and all that. Even if the sphere was to exist in their world, how will the sphere look like? Either as a dot or a circle. Because if you let a sphere pass through, just imagine that a sphere is passing through a 2-dimensional world. When the sphere makes the contact with the 2-dimensional world, the point of contact will be a dot for them. And as it passes through the plane, the dot keeps expanding as a circle, and the circle keeps growing, and when this sphere gets through half of it, the circle is the highest, the largest circle, and then the circle gradually wanes down and until it becomes a point at the time of the sphere's exit and vanishes. So if you were to tell them that, no, sphere is not a point, sphere is not a circle, sphere is not a line, sphere is not a square, and what is a sphere? They cannot just understand. So Krishna is adopting that method here. Because we cannot perceive spiritual platform, spiritual dimension, Krishna is saying, it is not this, it is not that. You cannot solve it with water. Achedyoyam, adahyoyam, avikaryoyam, akledyoyam, asosya. You cannot do this. You cannot hurt by weapons. It cannot be withered by wind. So it is negating. Just like a person in two-dimensional plane, the way to explain him is, oh, sphere is not your circle. It is not a point. It is nothing belonging to your world. Try to understand. So like that. So Krishna is trying to explain the presence of a spiritual dimension by negating it. It is a model in Sanskrit. It is called neti neti. Na iti, na iti. So that is a model of negation. So the Mayavadis also use the same model, taking a cue from Krishna's explanation. They also say that, oh, this material world is illusion. This is not it. This is not the real thing. This is not this. Is this the real thing? No, it is not the real thing. Are we this body? No, I am not this body. Are these bodily relations mine? No, they are not mine. Is this object exist? No, it is illusion. It is not a real substance. But they cannot explain positively what it is. Only a Krishna conscious person can explain. Only Krishna explains the actual attributes of the spirit soul. Only the Bhagavatam, the disciplic succession, explains what is the real conception of spirit soul. Otherwise, we stay in the negative conception. So we just have to accept Shabda Pramana. Just like a 2D, two-dimensional person cannot understand the third dimension. For things which are inconceivable to our material senses on the material platform, those things we have to accept by Shabda Pramana. Achintya khalude bhava natams tarkena yoshayet. For things which are beyond our conception, we should accept by an authority. Shabda Pramana. Even the modern understanding is based on faith. Because people may ask, how can I just blindly accept by faith? You are saying that there is soul, but how can I accept it? But the other way, if you go about it, even the modern materialistic understanding is also based on faith. Because they say that there is nothing like a spirit soul. This consciousness is manifested by a combination of material elements. But they cannot prove it experimentally. There is no experimental proof that exists today to support their belief that the life or consciousness is a result of combination of material elements. If that is the case, why can't they manufacture life from a dead body? The same combination of material elements. If they have done experimentally, then why are they not able to bring back to life? The same body existing 1 second before and is dead now. And so they cannot experimentally prove it. So if we accept that version, that is also a huge leap of faith. So they cannot blame us saying that you are just having blind faith on Vedas, on Vedic authorities, Shabda Brahma. We can also say the same. Okay, if you are saying you are believing in their version, you are also having a blind faith because it is not experimentally proven. There are many things which we just accept it in the modern education without any conclusive proof or experimental proof. For example, no one knows how the origin of life started on earth. We just accept the so-called conclusive theory of evolution. It is only a theory. They also know that it is not a fact. But for want of better explanation on material platform, they accept the theory of evolution. So no one knows how the life started on earth. In fact, in the beginning stages of life on earth, according to them, it is so vicious, the circumstances are so vicious that life would not have been possible. Because our cells, they require these elements, oxygen, water, carbon, hydrogen in abundance for survival. But we know oxygen actually is very detrimental to life, can be very toxic. Not many people know about it. One clear example that we can all understand is a process that we usually call as oxidization. If you keep a fruit outside after peeling the fruit, you see something called oxidization happening. You see a banana going rotten, or an avocado or apple. Anything which is kept open, it becomes oxidized. That means the oxygen has this character of causing a toxic effect. So it is said that if the oxygen content in our atmosphere is a few percent higher than the current 21%, then the potential for devastating forest fires and an unstable explosive atmosphere would increase significantly, which would make life less likely to thrive on Earth. And you can observe the toxic effects of elevated oxygen levels in the damaged lungs of human patients who receive oxygen for therapeutic reasons. So in the original stages, see, the oxygen is always threatening the cell. Even though the oxygen itself is required, good oxygen is required, but excessive oxygen can be very toxic. And nobody can explain in the original stages when the cell was unprotected, how was it able to withstand these toxic effects of oxygen? Even the water is considered very dangerous for our body. The water damage that it causes, even in our construction, they require us to do something called storm water drainage, because retaining water on anything is very damaging, and water destroys the cells by inducing uncontrollable swelling. So that can be easily observed in red blood cells placed in water. The cells will swell and break open rapidly. The cell bursts because water moves freely into cells by diffusion, and the water seeks places that are low in water content, and so it becomes submerged and breaks. So nobody can explain how in the beginning of life, when the cells are so primitive, when the formation of cell is so unprotected, it was protected because of all these toxic effects of oxygen, water, and all these other vicious environmental circumstances that were present. So it is only a blind leap of faith that we accept the version given by the modern education. So we have to have faith in something, but whom we choose to have faith on determines the kind of knowledge we will get. Here in the purport, Prabhupada is giving a beautiful example of the Shabda Pramana. What is the example Prabhupada gives to understand the Shabda Pramana?
Birth of how gets to know about the father from the mother.
Yes. Yes, very, very powerful example. So, if you don't know, for example, your father, what is the best way to know the father? The best way to know the father is to ask the mother. I had one visitor when we were making this point in a class. So he was saying from the modern advancement perspective, he said, no, those are all old methods. Now we have advanced materially, scientifically. So now there is advanced DNA matching that can be done to determine who is your father. But the point he's missing is there are innumerable number of male living entities in this world. It is practically impossible to find everyone and take a sample from him and try to test it. Nor will they allow also. It is impractical, improbable, and impossible. So the only best and effective way of knowing who your father is by asking your mother. So following in the same line, the best way of understanding the absolute truth, understanding who we are, what is the soul, how the consciousness is coming, what is the purpose of life, what is the origin of life, what is the origin of this universe. All these questions which are unanswered by our mundane intelligence and our own research can be answered effectively if we accept the Shabda Praman, the Vedic authority. So the Vedic authority says that the presence of the soul in the body is just like the presence of the sun in the sky. And because of our material conditioning acts like the covering of a cloud. So if the sky is full of clouds, we cannot see the sun directly. But we can understand that there is sun in the sky by the presence of sunlight. So like that, the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, or spiritual authorities, they inform us that we can understand the presence of spirit soul by the presence of consciousness. That is a symptom of the presence of spirit soul. If a body is dead, there is no consciousness. That means the spirit soul is gone. So we need to wait until this clouds of covering is removed. We just need to wait until our conditioning is removed. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agham dhunvanti katsnyena niharam iva bhaskaraha. So by practicing Krishna consciousness, these clouds of ignorance get evaporated. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said in his Ikshashtakam, Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam. By chanting the names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, all our misgivings, misconceptions, the cloud of covering, which is prohibiting us in understanding the spirit and Krishna consciousness, they are all removed. Then we can understand the sun, presence of the sun, presence of the soul. We can understand the spiritual knowledge and everything. So avyakta, achintya and avikarya. Avikarya we know. Vikara means transformation. And the soul is not supposed to be undergoing transformation like the body. So the body undergoes 6 transformations. Shadvikara. Who can say that? What are the 6 transformations the body undergoes? So the body takes birth, the body grows, the body produces byproducts, The body stays for some time, gradually dwindles and vanishes. These are the 6 transformations of a material body. But for the soul, it is avikara, avikaryam. There is no such transformations. It is unchangeable, eternally young and energetic, and always seeking pleasure and happiness. Because of the presence of the spirit, we also get that enthusiasm. We say that, oh, he's quite a spirited person. Means it's coming from his spirit soul. So like that. So avikaryam. So avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryam uchyate. I'll stop here. Any other questions, comments on what we discussed today?